Hey y'all, I'm Megan. I'm an iOS app developer, and in this video, I'm going to give you 5-ish tips on how to make Xcode a bit easier to use. In this video, I'll be navigating around my app iHog that's used to control Hog lighting controllers. If you want to watch me build the app, make sure to check out my Twitch live streams at twitch.tv/MeganWilson_. And that's really where you can find me most weekday mornings. So let's hop into those tips real quick. So in this video, like I said, we're going to talk about some tips and tricks. The first one is the build and run shortcuts. So, I mean, these are I would say these are pretty simple. These are probably the ones everyone memorizes right off the bat, but it's always good to say first. So to build an app, when you go up to the toolbar, you can go to product and then build for, and then you can do your builds there, or you can just hit Command B. And when you hit Command B, it's gonna start building your app. Just like we see here up at the top, it built and it's successful. And that's just Command B right there to just build your app. Really useful if you're just trying to figure out, hey, did I do syntax wrong? And then the next one is run. So you have Command B to build and then Command R for run. And when you hit Command R, it's going to run it in whatever simulator you have chosen right here. So instead of having to go up here and build and hit the play button every time, you can just hit Command R and it's going to open in whatever simulator you have chosen. Now with Swift UI, you also have the awesome option of using the canvas preview here, the canvas to do your live preview, see your live updates, that kind of thing. So let's go check that out real quick. There we go. All right, so in Swift UI, you can also sometimes use the live preview or the canvas editor, as Xcode likes to call it, whenever you close it and you want to reopen it. So here's a couple shortcuts with that. Is if you're using Swift UI, you might know that as soon as you start trying to bring in variables, your automatic preview gets paused. So the easiest way to unpause that is either to take your mouse, trackpad, pointing device of your choice and go up and hit resume. Or my favorite thing is to do Command Option P. So Command Option P, and it'll just automatically resume. I can't tell you how many minutes that saves during a coding session. So that I don't have to, great, I'm down here, and then I have to take my hand all the way to the trackpad and then up to click resume. Now it's just Command Option P, and you'll get that restarted quickly. Again, so those are just like 3 really nifty shortcuts right there for building and running and previewing your app. Those are probably my most used shortcuts, so that I don't have to move my hand from the trackpad, I don't have to move my hand from the mouse or keyboard. It's just really quickly right there. Oh, my canvas stopped working, Command Option P, or okay, let's run in that simulator, Command R, and get going. The next most used shortcuts are in my next point, which is to keep the file formatted as nicely as possible. There's many times when you go back into your code and you're looking for a very specific line, or you're just reading through to try to figure out what's happening. Well, in that case, that is where a nicely formatted file comes in handy, because then it's all nice and indented correctly. You can quickly scan the lines just because everything's following the same format. Xcode has a really easy way to do this. If you go into your editor toolbar, and inside editor, you can go to structure and then reindent. That's only going to reindent whatever lines you have selected. So that doesn't help if you are tabbed all the way over here and then you do a Control-I to reindent on line 8, it's only going to reindent what you have selected or whatever line you're on. Okay, apparently Siri doesn't know this, so that's okay. So reindent is only going to reindent command is only going to work on whatever line you have on. So what you really need to do is select the whole file if you want to do the whole file at a time. So Command A just quickly selects the whole file, and then reindent with Control-I. And that's going to bring everything back to the standard formatting that you have. So Command A selects everything, Control-I is going to reindent everything. So again, that just really helps me in the long run so that I can go back and quickly see what's going on and skim the code a bit. It's also another reason why I like to keep my file formatted is so that I can easily know if like syntax is wrong or something like that, because then it won't get formatted. So the only way that reindent works is with the proper with the proper syntax. If you have something really off, then reformatting won't work then at that point, or reindenting, I should say. So I just talked about how to keep the file formatted correctly to help, readability and stuff like that, but maybe you know exactly where you want to go, and that's what this next point is going to help with. So I'm going to go ahead and open a different file here. So I have this file here, OSC helper. It's huge, it's massive, there's lots of lines in here. It does a lot of things. What we can do in here though is navigate the file pretty easily. Like, yes, it's super long. Like I just went and I just scrolled through and probably took about 5-10 seconds to scroll up and down up and down the Swift file. But if I needed to get to a specific file, get to a specific location, there's actually a really quick, easy way to do it. And it's not Command F and search for what I'm looking for. You can actually just click the button where it says OSC helper up here. So wherever you're inside, and then you'll start to see for inside this class, director, whatever you have, extension, you'll start to see the whole file broken down by declaration of properties, declaration of extensions, classes, structs, methods, functions, comments that are marked. So if you do // marked, and then you put a comment, that's where those come in. If you mark your comments with to-dos, then those will also be shown here. So with this here, if I can quickly just jump to wherever use hog OSC command begins, which isn't that far, but let's try a different one. So here again, I just click in this basically breadcrumb area of where what file you have open. So I click here. If I need to get to the highlight property, I can just click on highlight and it's going to take me right there. Same thing with if I needed to get quickly to the extension for receiving statuses, again, I just click it and it goes right there. I like to use mark a lot. I guess this is kind of like a tip within a tip. I like to use mark a lot because it does come up here to where you can see receiving statuses, because just seeing the extension of the OSC helper, like I know that there's an extension going on then, I know that there's stuff inside it, but I don't really know where those functions belong and stuff like that. Like what exactly are they gonna do? And that's where this like marking your comment really comes in handy, because then it puts basically a header above what you're looking for. So then you can quickly see, oh, I know I need to go to like hardware messages. I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly what method I wrote for that, but let's go see what they look like. Oh, hardware messages. Okay, great. So let's go find what I need now inside hardware messages. And that's really where like marking is really, really useful for me. Cool. And that's really how to navigate inside your file really easily. I mean, you can go up here, get the option here, and then click where you want to go, and it's going to take you directly there. Now, number 4 and 5, my next couple tips are more of how to make your code a bit better with a bit more work on your end. So how to make your code a little bit work for you a little bit more. So I have this giant. The first one is going to be the add documentation feature. So if you're using an Apple supplied function, property, class, whatever you have, you can click on option and then click on the name, and you get a summary, a declaration, and all this kind of good, useful tips, just like a quick help type deal that pops up. But if you notice on some of like your own declared code, you don't get that. So like if I do option click on function key status, I don't get that. Well, there is Xcode includes an easy way to add this. I'm gonna go ahead and do this to a function here. That way, we can see what happens whenever I put on a function. So I just went to the function. Now I can command click. When you command click on a declaration, then you get this handy dandy menu over here. I'm gonna go ahead and click on add documentation, and now you can add a description, which is gonna be that summary. So switch case for LED button statuses. So I'm gonna do switch case for LED button status, and then what is the parameter that's coming through? It's a message, so it's an OSC message received from the console. Again, this is a very pointed app, but so I have my parameter message here, and it automatically pulled up that I had a parameter that needed to come through because it's already declared in the function. Now, if I do an option click on it, we get the summary and we get the parameters listed. So you get a you get that quick help. So now if you go call this anywhere else, you can go and, now if you go call this anywhere else in your file, you can quickly get that quick help that you need to make sure you're passing in the right information or something like that. Yeah. And it just makes it just nice and easy so that, again, if you're using this in other parts of your code, or you have a function that's very similarly named and you're confused on which one you're using, if you add this documentation in, then you can really quickly it can help you out just by hitting that option click on it. Because like if I do this choose button, it doesn't really tell me much whenever I'm using it. And that's really the add documentation feature. Like I said, it's a little bit more work on your end to add this in, but it's greatly going to help readability of your code, because then you're actually like putting in exactly what's needed for each function, giving a nice little summary for each option, for each function. You don't have to go and try to figure out exactly what's going on inside that function, class, struct, property, whatever it is. You can quickly see inside. And then number two, it's going to help you whenever you call this somewhere else and you're trying to figure out exactly what you're dealing with. So like in this case right here, I'm just going to reiterate with another example. So in this case right here, we have this front panel button. Well, I have another struct in here that's a front panel button, FP button right here. All right, so I have this front panel button function, but then I have this FP button struct. If I didn't remember that this was actually a function and I just did option click to see what it was, it doesn't really tell me anything what it was. So that would be a good place to add documentation. So and a bonus tip here, if you right click, you can actually hit a jump to definition and it's going to take you exactly where the function, property, whatever it is, was declared inside your code. So then I can command click, add documentation, and then in here I can say great sends OSC messages, and then my parameter button, button name to push on console. So now if I go back to where I was inside here, if I option click, we can see it's gonna send the OSC message and there's a button name on the console to push, which is great. And now we're gonna talk about this number 5, the last tip trick that I'm gonna give in this video. And that's really the rename feature. So I'm sure we've all been there where a variable is declared, a function's declared, whatever it is, but the name doesn't quite fit with what you're using now, with what you're using it for, or there's a better name that you think of later, but you've already used it in 8 million different places. That is where the handy dandy rename feature really comes into play. You can command click on a property name, just like we did to add the documentation feature. So if I command click here, and then there is a rename option at the bottom. When you hit rename, it's going to go and find everywhere to rename this function, property, whatever you want to say, method, variable, constant, whatever it is. It's going to find everywhere it is in the project. So it just so happens front panel button is only used in this one file. And then we can just give it a whole new name. So like I said earlier, this front panel button doesn't really describe exactly what it does. So I'm going to say push front panel button. And now it's been updated in the declaration. It's been updated in the call. It's also been updated. I was wrong. It's also been updated in that other file where it's used as well. And then once I hit enter, it's all been changed. We can see the blue here saying that, hey, there's been some kind of change due to me using Git. And And if I were to go to this front panel button in this other file, we can quickly see that it has also been changed here. So OSC.push front panel button. It's not just limited to that one file. It goes through your entire code base and renames anything that was using that old name. I mean, I use it all the time, mainly because I'm like quickly trying to give variable names. And then I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. There would be a much better name for this. So let's do a rename real quick. Hopefully these 5 tips and tricks really helped you out or will help you out in the future with your app development journey, progress, you know, doing the thing in Xcode where you make your apps. If you found these tips useful, and make sure to please hit that like button, leave a comment with any tips or tricks that you'd also like to share with the community, because I'm sure I only talked about 5 and there are lots and lots more because I'm only giving you what I know at this time. If you want to chat with me and watch me work on iHog all the time, then go head over and drop me a follow on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MeganWilson_. Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 6:45 a.m. I start working on an iOS app that I've been working on, the one that was seen here in the video. So please drop by, say hi, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.